I feel like I messed up on one of my interviews, and I wanted to jump in and explain it. But before I do, I wanted to say that I've spoken to the person that I did the interview with, and we agreed beforehand that I was going to release it and that I was just going to talk about it just for a couple of minutes afterwards, because my whole thing is about being understood and wanting to express myself, and then worrying about being misunderstood and people thinking I'm a bad person. So it pressed all my buttons. The person that I interviewed was Jeff from Mental Wellness and Cosplay, and I don't know whether you saw that interview, but he'd had different issues throughout his life, but later on as an adult he'd lost his child, and we were talking about that later on in the video, and I was feeling completely out of my depth, and there was lots of directions that I wanted to go. And what happened was I noticed that I was getting close to the hour or something around that, and so in my mind I was thinking, I need to hurry up, I need to finish this, and I've just said the wrong thing, but just keep going. And I think I did a disservice to myself and to the situation, and that I would have been better to stop and say, this is hard to talk about. I'm trying to be respectful, and I'm also wanting to connect to you and be engaged and to understand what it's like, and I'm kind of guessing at some things and putting it into words when I've never had that experience. But we shared a few messages on Instagram afterwards, and I just wanted to share with you those. I said to him, one last point though, is that I felt quite bad after I'd recorded this about how clumsy I'd been in the way I spoke about losing your child. I don't feel like I come across well because of this, but I also think I come across as someone who is new to talking about this topic. I was thinking about talking about this subject in a video or a live. Would that be okay with you? I would need to reference our conversation. I really want his work to be amazing, and I don't want this to detract, but I do think it's an important conversation. Anyway, this is what he said to me. And he asked about a particular link that he wanted to put in the description, and then he said, and by all means, child loss is a difficult topic and everyone reacts to it differently. I've seen it all in the last near decade, and I thought you were fine. It is definitely a good subject to address. And I said, yep, no problem about the link. I felt I immediately regretted how I expressed one point, but that in itself is interesting. Thank you for being patient with me. And Jeff replied, if it makes you feel better, when people share their own stories of child loss with me, I have had trouble responding to it often enough that I has to work on how to better handle it too. Nothing can prepare you for such a raw topic. So I think that's it. We chatted a little bit more about releasing it, but he's doing amazing work. I just wanted to share that after the interview, I say other stuff comes up, but for me, I thought it's worth mentioning again that I've spoken to you guys before. You know that I accidentally found one of Ren's songs that mentioned suicide, and then I tiptoed through it, and I was like, I don't know how to talk about it. What you may not know is that I went on and did a course about how to talk about suicide, and there's a lot more for me to learn about that subject, particularly about being online and with social media. But I am really interested in learning more, and I am making mistakes and wishing I could just take the words back. But I think that's kind of a universal experience, and I think it's very kind of Jeff to say that he feels that way too, and to reassure me that it's a subject worth mentioning. And if you haven't seen the interview, I'm going to put the link for that below too. Take care. Bye.